Hey there, it's Shauna. So, do you need to have your exact time of birth in order to get a meaningful astrology reading? I got this question this morning and I get it a lot, so this is why I'm coming to you now in a video. Yes and no, and I want to tell you what I mean by that. So, my preference is to always have your birth time if it's available. If you have your birth time printed on your birth certificate, I want that time if I'm looking at your chart. And some astrologers will say that you can't get a meaningful reading without your time of birth. Some astrologers will say that. I am not one of those astrologers. Because this is the thing, is there's a lot of people that don't have access to their birth certificate. There's a lot of people that don't have the time printed on their birth certificate. It was literally not recorded. A lot of people, even despite that, don't have an accurate time even from family members. I remember someone telling me even in the UK, they don't record the time of birth on the birth certificate. So, you'd have to rely on family members. My philosophy about this, though, is that if the birth time is not available, there is some kind of synchronistic reason as to why. And that's partly because my life philosophy heavily is influenced by the element of synchronicity and Jung, and that information that is available is, if it's meant to be available to you, then you have it. If you don't need that information, it's not going to be available to you. And so I have many women that I've worked with where we haven't had a birth time. And what I find is just that our work is more focused on the planets and the planetary aspects, and not even necessarily the signs, but specifically the planetary aspects and how things, like if they have Venus conjunct their sun, or if they have Pluto in aspect to several planets. Like, we really hone in on that and the influences that kind of energy has for that person versus what their ascendant might be, or versus focusing on like the solar houses. We don't really talk about that kind of thing. So the cool thing with astrology is that there's so many different techniques and there's so many different ways to practice it that you can do a lot without having the time of birth. And again, my philosophy is that if you don't have it, there's a reason why, and that reason is that it's beneficial for you to focus on other things within your astrology chart that don't involve the time of birth, and that would be planetary aspects in my case, what I like to focus on. So I hope that answers a question that you have. That being said, again, it's something that I definitely prefer, so I always ask people to find it. If they can't find it, then let's talk and let's figure it out. I have had some women that I've worked with where they didn't have access to their birth certificate, and then they were able to confirm a time with their family member. And the other thing I'll say about this is that it's always best to have like a documented time, a for sure time, than an unsure time. So if someone knows, let's say if you have like a 2-hour window of when you were born, I won't even use that because it's not exact. It's like wishy-washy. I'd rather be more precise on other things than use something that's a little bit uncertain. So I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about this, let me know, but I feel like that's pretty clear cut, and I think that's all I wanted to say for now. So that's all for today. Wishing you an amazing Wednesday, and I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.